Welcome back to the lectures on geometric design of major urban roads. Eugene Goldstein here. Today we'll continue our discussion on geometric design principles, including horizontal geometry and vertical geometry. So geometric design is a dimensional design of a road within the surrounding terrain, including the determination of all superficial dimensions, but excluding dimensions related to pavement thickness and structure. The constraints on geometric design must include the fact that the road is only one interacting part of the overall urban road transport system. The other two parts are the vehicles and the drivers. The design will only prove successful if this total system performs satisfactorily. The art of geometric road design is a three-dimensional combination of the elements that establish the road layout in such a way as to ensure that the road is an appropriate, efficient, and effective part of the urban road transport system. An all-embracing concept that has arisen to ensure that a design is appropriate, efficient, and effective is contextual design. This applies a collaborative, interdisciplinary approach to road design that ensures that the design is also adopted to the overall physical and social context or the settings in which the road is found, and at least preserving and preferably enhancing the surrounding aesthetics, environmental, and cultural resources. The basic aim of a geometric road design of major urban road is to produce operationally efficient and safe roads. In urban areas, drivers are restricted in their freedom to select speed and maneuvers. Therefore, capacity will often dominate urban designs, whereas safety is usually the key factors in rural design. Nevertheless, the geometric elements must be considered in urban design of major urban roads. So what are they? The main elements are horizontal curves, including curvature, superelevation, transitions, and pavement widening, vertical curves and grades, and cross-sections, including widths and a crossfall. Today, I will provide you with a general overview of these elements. So the first one is the horizontal curves. Road horizontal alignment consists of a series of straights and curves. The basic principles of horizontal curve design is derived from application of kinematics equation, according to which the total lateral acceleration applied through pavement superelevation and tire pavement friction on a vehicle negotiating a circular curve should be equal to the centrifugal acceleration due to the vehicle's movements, as shown on the slide and in the formulas. There are various types of horizontal curves. Simple, well known to you. Broken back curves. They're the curves that have a short straight or a large radius as a short straight or a large radius curves between two relatively lower radius unidirectional curves. Generally, the following guidelines apply to broken back curves. These curves are unsightly and should be avoided where possible. And where unavoidable, the length of straight should be no less than operating speed in meters. The next type of horizontal curve is a compound curve that comprising two or more adjoining curves of different radii in the same direction, as shown on a sketch. Reverse curves. The reverse curves occur where adjacent curves are in the opposite direction. It is desirable for driving comfort and safety that a length of the straight alignment to be provided between the two curves. This allows the rotation of the pavement to occur on a straight section. Desirably, reverse curves should not be used unless there is sufficient distance between the curves to introduce full superelevation of the two curves and provide not greater than the standard rate of change of crossfall for the particular speed. An exception to this is the desirable use of the reverse curves to gradually slow vehicles on high-speed approaches to the intersections or roundabouts in an urban environment. Generally, the following guidelines apply to the reverse curves. These curves should be avoided where possible. Where unavoidable, the length of the straight should be desirably to be no less than the design speed expressed in meters. And the last type of curves is the transition curves, as shown in this sketch. Transition curves are normally used to join straight and circular curves, although they may be omitted when large radius curves are used. Transition curves provide a natural path for vehicles moving from a straight to a circular curve and enable centrifugal forces to increase gradually from zero at the start of the transition to their maximum value at the start of the circular curve. If a transition curve is not provided, some drivers will encroach on adjoining lanes when entering and leaving the curve. Transition curves allow for superelevation development and pavement widening and improve the appearance of the curve ahead. You may remember F, a side friction factor that is used in the kinematic formula. So the side friction factor is a measure of frictional force between the pavement and vehicle tires. Value of the side friction factor are presented in the table on this slide. The associated minimum curve radii based on a superelevation of 5% as a maximum value in the urban area. The value of side friction factor depends on the type and conditions of the road surface, driver's behavior, and the type and condition of the tires. Therefore, it is variable. It is emphasized that this F, the side friction factor, is not a measure of the available pavement tire friction. The upper limit of the side friction factor, called friction supply, is a point when a vehicle approaches sliding condition. The vehicle starts to slide tangentially to the road alignment when the operating speed results in a centrifugal forces that exceeds the speed that can be developed by friction or the superelevation. Therefore, to avoid sliding, horizontal curves should not be designed directly on the basis of the maximum available side friction factor. The portion of the side friction factor that can be used with comfort and safety by majority of the drivers should be the maximum value for design. These values are shown in the table as desirable maximum values of the side friction factor. The speed on horizontal curves at which discomfort due to the centrifugal force is evident to the driver can be accepted as a design control. The amount of side friction required in this situation is considered the absolute maximum value. The desirable maximum value should be used on intermediate or high speed roads with uniform traffic flow, on which drivers are not tolerant of discomfort. Where possible, this value should be adopted to allow vehicles to maintain their lateral position within a traffic lane and to be able to comfortably change lanes if necessary. On low speed roads with non-uniform traffic flow, which are typically in urban areas where drivers are more tolerant of discomfort. This permits the absolute maximum value of side friction factor to be safely used in the design of horizontal curbs, although the designer should endeavor to adopt desirable maximum value where possible. Superelevation, quite often called camber, is a slope on a curved pavement to enhance forces, assisting a vehicle to maintain a circular path. Superelevation to be adopted is chosen primarily on the basis of safety, but other factors are comfort and appearance. Superelevation applied to major urban roads should take into consideration the expected operating speed for drivers negotiating the curve, the stability of high commercial vehicles against overturning, the tendency of slow-moving vehicles to track towards the inside of the curve, the distance required to develop superelevation, and construction problems, including level controls imposed by adjacent development. For a given operating speed, the proposed superelevation and friction demand for any radius at or above the minimum radius can be calculated using the following formula, where E is required superelevation, F required side friction factor, R curve radius expressed in meters, V operating speed expressed in kilometers per hour, E maximum allowable superelevation, and R is the minimum radius corresponds to maximum superelevation at the design speed. It is recommended that the values for maximum superelevation and minimum superelevation for major urban roads to be set at 3 to 5%. So 3 maximum superelevation, 5% is, so 3 minimum and 5% is maximum superelevation to ensure adequate surface drainage. Lower values for the superelevation should only occur during the superelevation development. Next slide shows the relationship